That is the second time I've done that today. I started talking with my mic muted. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this very special September 26th episode of PubTalk Live, the live publishing talk show airing the second and fourth Saturday of every month at 9 p.m. Eastern. I am your host, Sarah Nicolas. I'm a young adult author, board member and agent liaison of Pitch Wars, and a library event planner. You can subscribe to reminders via email by clicking on the link in the description so that you don't miss a show. You can also follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at PubTalk Live. And if you'd like to support the show, you can find a link to the Patreon near the end of the video description down below. We got 2 new Patreon supporters this week, and I'm just so grateful for y'all. So thank you so much for supporting the show and letting me know that you want it to continue. So I sound happy today. Is it because I have Twitter back? Oh man. Yeah, maybe I'm a little happier today than I have been. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring on my guest co-host today. Ayana Gray is a lover of all things monsters and magic. Originally an Atlanta native, she now lives in sunny Florida, where she writes fantastical stories, follows Formula One racing, and worries over her adopted baby rhino Apollo, which you can see if you go on her Instagram. Her debut, Beast of Prey, is slated for publication in spring 2022. So please welcome to the show, Ayana Gray.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Feeling good. It doesn't feel like a Saturday, weirdly, but yeah, super excited.
Yeah, it's a busy week for us. That's probably why.
Just a small thing happening this weekend,
Yeah, it's a little. Thank you, Jay. Jay said happy birth week. Yeah, I do celebrate my birth week. Sometimes I celebrate my birth month. It just kind of depends. So
Hi, Heather.
Oh yeah, Heather said hello. Cool. All right. So welcome everyone. If you haven't yet voted in today's Twitter poll, the question, which was just kind of like for fun, is how long have you participated in Pitch Wars in any way? So whether you're entering or mentoring or just kind of like participating in the chats, however you're doing it. And Ebony's saying hi.
Hi, Ebony.
And if you Brenda said she voted. Cool. Yeah, and then we'll talk about it at the end of the episode and we'll kind of see where everyone's at. All right, we're gonna jump. Huh?
I was gonna say, have you taken this poll?
I did not take the poll. Well, because you can't take your own poll on Twitter. It doesn't let you.
What's your answer?
Oh, I've been since 2012.
I just wanted to get you to boost you because that's really, really cool.
Yeah, since the beginning. I guess I could take it from one of the PubTalk Live account or something. But
I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised at the results. Laura said 0 is an option. Yeah, that's because there's not a lot of room on Twitter. I don't know if y'all know this, you have a limit. But I couldn't fit in if you participate, so yeah, it's just assumed if you don't vote that you're not participating. All right, so we're gonna have a shorter than usual news section this time because we wanted to get to the interview a little bit faster. So we're gonna dive right in. There were some big shakeups that happened this week in publishing. So I have the first one, surprising everyone last week. John Sargent, who was the CEO of Macmillan, and I definitely spelled that wrong in my notes. Anyway, an executive VP of its parent company, Haltspring, announced that he will be stepping down due to, quote, disagreements regarding the direction of Macmillan. This move comes after a year of controversies, including library ebook embargoes, which we talked about last year, the publication of Janine Cummings' American Dirt, which we also talked about, the pandemic-related layoffs, and the industry-wide day of protests that was first organized by Macmillan employees. Yeah, so this was such big news that Publishers Weekly sent out a separate alert about it when it happened.
I mean, fair, the head of Macmillan, that's pretty big.
Yeah. Well, especially because he in particular has been such a public figure. Like he talks to the media all the time. He's always at conferences. So he's always been like really public facing.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that's probably why it shook. Like I knew who the CEO of Macmillan is. I probably don't know who the CEO of Simon and Schuster is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm always curious. Like I always want to be a fly on the wall in those discussions to kind of like hear what he thought and what exactly like his stance was. So
What the disagreements were.
hmm
Yeah.
like what was the final straw there? So
Oh, Heather asked, did they say who they take over yet? I don't think so. You can, this is a good time to mention all the news items that we talk about. The links are going to go in the description after we get done with the show today. So if you want to read more about any of the things that we're talking about, just come back after the show has ended and you'll be able to click on a link and read the whole article. But I don't think they said who's replacing him. I think they have like an interim until they figure out. Yeah. Oh, I just want to answer Ebony's question. I guess I'm trying to grow it out in that I don't want to go to the hair salon. With a pixie cut like I had, you have to get your hair cut every month. So definitely not doing that in this time. So it's doing what it's doing. I did get my mom to trim some of the like mullet off the back, so that was good.
I think it looks lovely.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Do we want to jump into? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just gonna say I have new lighting today, thanks to Pubber Bess Carnan, who I don't think is here today. So let me know what you think about the lighting. I think my other lighting was like really washing me out, so hopefully this looks a little better. All right, yeah, go ahead with the next piece.
I was going to say, I think your lighting looks fabulous. As someone that's constantly on the hunt for good lighting. So I get to talk about the next bit of news, and that is about Foundry Literary. The co-founders of Foundry Literary, which is, I didn't actually know this, the largest independent literary agency, according to their website. They are parting ways to create two agencies, which will be called YRG Partners and Ultra Literary. I think this is really interesting. I've not really heard of this happening much, and I'm still pretty green in the publishing world, maybe a few years, but I've never actually heard of anything like this happening. Have you?
No, usually I've seen like partners leave like to retire, but I haven't really seen them split. And I also didn't know they're the largest independent literary agency. I don't know what independent means though. Like
I think I do, because I know that there are some agencies that are corporate and like also linked to media. Like there's one that I'm thinking about. I think ICM, like where they're more than just a literary agency. It's like there's an entertainment section and a media section, and they're actually like several things. So maybe I don't know if Foundry handles anything besides like pure literary, but they're not tied to anything corporate. They're independent, I think, in that respect. Again, I'm super curious about like fly in the wall. What happened to say we're splitting it up, you know?
Yeah, the announcement did say amicable, and so I don't know. So there's actually going to be two articles for this one, by the way. The one is just the announcement from Publishers Weekly, and the other one goes into more detail about YRG Partners. I couldn't find more information about Ultra Literary, but I think because if you read about YRG, there's like they're interested in doing like some development, some media development, stuff like that. And so what I think, and this is just a wild guess based on no information whatsoever, is that like Ultra Literary is going to be more like a regular, like standard literary agency, and YRG, they wanted to do some like different media things. So that might be what happened.
In these situations, what I'm curious about, I mean, I think I know, but I'm curious about what happens with the authors who are represented by Foundry. I'm assuming that it's based on where your agent goes. But I imagine that would be a bit of a transition. Whether you might, because like I know for my agency, like there are people who, like I have my literary agent, but I also have a person who is the contracts person for the agency. So, and I'm used to working with them. So you might have a totally different contracts person now, or a different whatever person. So I'm curious about the authors and how that'll impact them.
Yeah. And then this always comes up every time there's any kind of split or shake up editor agency. People are like, what happens to the authors? And the answer, as always in publishing, is it depends.
Yeah, it
Like
does.
the answer to everything. Yeah, because it depends on there are different contracts. Susan
Ebony,
said they're gonna take
okay.
all their publishing clients with them.
I was laughing at Ebony because she said anytime you have to say it was amicable, it probably wasn't. And I was thinking the same thing. Like that's a nice PR statement.
Yeah.
Maybe it was amicable, but also maybe it wasn't. But
maybe it could be. I mean, you can have a creative difference of opinion and it not be like adversarial.
Yeah. I think the writer in me is just like, ooh, conflict. So
yeah. Lord Sarah said, your hair is also amazing. Your hair always looks great on these chats too.
Thank you. Thank you. No, well, I think I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah. So this is some good news, but it's also like well, I'll just say it and then we'll talk about it. So Macmillan announced this week that it will raise entry level salaries to $42,000 a year, which is a $7,000 increase based on their previously reported minimum salary. The increase goes into effect December 27th. So this sounds like a good thing. Like it's a significant amount, 35,000 to 42,000. But then I did, there are websites where you can put in like a salary that you would have to earn in another city to have the same lifestyle, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I wonder what's that equivalent like in Orlando? Like what salary would I have to make in Orlando to live the same lifestyle as someone who's making 42,000 in New York City? And it was $20,000 and $20,658, which like, I mean, that's less than I make. That's half what I make,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
There's that it depends again because like California, for example, you can make six figures and not be doing well. Mm-hmm. So cost of living comes into effect. I appreciate the effort and I appreciate the recognition that there needs to be improvement, but then there has to be tangible improvement, not just going from severe poverty to only kind of some poverty. Like I was hoping that COVID was going to improve kind of some of the disparities in publishing with, having to live in New York, which is a really expensive place to live. And I guess we'll see in the long term, but I'm hoping that, people can work remotely permanently and then not even have to deal, because that kind of 45,000 in another part of the US would be a decent salary and it's totally livable. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. But this is just like, I think it spotlights how poorly people in publishing are paid, which we have talked about a lot on this show. So I don't want to drill it too hard, but that 42,000 is a great increase in the most expensive city in the country. Yeah. So I'm glad that they're raising their entry levels, and I hope that other publishers follow suit, because I know unless you have some other kind of like financial support, it's almost impossible to start a career in New York City without either working another job or having a spouse that supports you or having family that lets you live somewhere, Yeah.
This isn't even necessarily including like, do they supply health insurance, for example? And if no, then you take that money that you've just been given and you have to pay rent, food, and health insurance privately. And that's just, So good start. We want more.
Oh, you have some sad news. You have some sad news for us.
Yes, today. I do. So Terry, and I hope I'm saying his name correctly, Terry Goodkind. He was the author of the long-running Sword of Truth series. He has passed away at the age of 72. And it's interesting because I knew his name. Like he was a staple and I knew the name, and yet I couldn't like think of book titles. But I did my research on him, and there were some really cool things about him. For one, he sold his first book in 1994, and his most recent came out earlier this year. So he's had kind of my dream, like this long, like literally a lifetime of writing books and getting to tell stories. And the first, it was the Sword of Truth series, and there were, I believe, 21 installments, which is just
I know it's long, yeah.
Well, I mean, I know that there are still writers who do this, but that almost feels like a lost art to get. It feels like commercially nowadays people want like a trilogy and then you're done and then go do something else. But to get to write 21 installments in the same world and develop it and build a fan base over that kind of time is really admirable. And it's really it's a tragedy that he's gone. I'm grateful that we still have his stories. I did see that there was a brief film adaptation, maybe like the early 2000s, like one season or so, which now I'm kind of curious. Did you enjoy it or?
I don't remember too much about it. I remember watching it late at night. I think it must have been when I was in college. So most of the shows I watched in college, like I watched them while also studying,
Mm-hmm.
But
it was
I will, yeah. I will say I read one of his books, the first book in the Sword of Truth series, and it just wasn't for me. Like I wasn't, it's not bad or anything. It's just some books aren't for you. So I never continued, but I did check out the series when it came on TV.
It was called Legend of Seeker when it was adapted,
Mm-hmm.
and in the first, it debuted in 2008, which doesn't seem like that long ago to me, but I know it was, and it was over 10 years ago. But an interesting thing that sometimes happens with authors once they pass away, this is kind of sad, but you find that people suddenly take up a new interest, and this happens with musicians as well, artists. When someone passes away and the spotlight kind of goes back to them, people take up a new interest. So maybe there will be a crop of new people that can appreciate his stories, and I think that's a beautiful way to keep someone's memory alive. So that's my bright side.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, so we have one more piece of news before we move on. Penguin Random House released a report on its U.S. workforce demographics 2 weeks ago. It was like right after the last episode. One notable stat is that 78% of its non-warehouse employees are white, while the report notes that only 60% of the U.S. population is white. Which, I mean, no one is surprised by these numbers, right? But it is, I think it's, let's say hopeful that Penguin Random House is deliberately putting out these numbers and having this conversation and opening itself up to this conversation. So I think that's a positive.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so the link will be in the description. The link is to the Publishers Weekly article about this, but they also link to the report so you can read more detail if you would like. There's a lot of other numbers if you're like really into that kind of thing. Feel free to go check that out. All right, so it is time for the interview portion. We got through the news so fast. I think the only time we've ever done that fast was when I had Beverly Jenkins on, and I knew people like wanted to get to Beverly Jenkins, so I made sure to make it a little shorter. All right, so today we are doing something extra special. We have 5 guests, including Ayana, who are all Pitch Wars volunteers. So usually the guest co-host like continues and helps me interview the guests, but Ayana is actually just gonna like switch into a special guest role, and I'm gonna interview everyone. So surprise!
Yay!
All right, so we already introduced Ayana, but I also wanted to mention that she currently volunteers on the Pitch Wars committee as an advisor. And then next we're going to bring on Brenda Drake. Brenda Drake is the New York Times bestselling author of the Library Jumper series and many other books. She's also the founder of Pitch Wars. She currently volunteers on the board and serves as mentee liaison. So please welcome Brenda.
Hi, everybody.
And next
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Hi. And hi, Brenda's husband.
Yeah, my husband's always in the background, right here.
Yeah. Sonia Hartl is the author of The Lost Girls, Not Your #Love Story, and Have a Little Faith in Me. She currently volunteers as the 2020 Managing Director. So please welcome Sonia.
Hi.
That was a
Hello.
sweet little hi.
Hi. Very tired. So
Yeah. Sonia is also in the middle of like moving and selling a house. So all right. And then next we have the secret to Pitch War's success. Gail D. Villanueva is the author of My Fate According to the Butterfly and uses her 25 years of web design and development experience in her role as our technical director. So please welcome Gail.
Hello.
Hey,
And I
Gail.
have to say good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning from where I am.
All right. And last.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Brenda's like, oh yeah, I'm chatting with my friends. All right. And last but not least, Susan Lee is an HR executive, the 2019 Golden Heart winner for YA Romance, and she volunteers as mentor liaison. So welcome, Susan.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Now I'm afraid to talk. Hi, Susan.
Yeah. Goodness. All right. We have people saying hi in the comments. Lodestar, Ebony. Oh, Lodestar commented on your sunset, Brenda.
Oh, yeah, it's happening, huh?
Oh, Ebony said, "Love you, Sonia."
I can get out of the way. So.
Thank you, Ebony.
All right, everyone's just saying hello, hello, hello. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and jump right in. If you could all start out just by letting us know a little bit of detail about what you do in your volunteer role with Pitch Wars. So like not just your title, but also what you do, like the activities that you do. And we can just go around the circle. We'll start with Ayana.
Okay. Well, I was a mentor last year for the first time, and I'm going to be a mentor this year with, I'm co-mentoring with Maya Ibrahim. And really this year as an advisor, a lot of my experience has been just talking about my experience last year as a mentor, offering input, support. I beg to do spreadsheets whenever Sarah will let me. And just trying to think of creative ways to basically make life easier for the Pitch Wars board. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's always like volunteering to do, because we always have extra things that we're like, who wants to do this? And Ayana steps up a lot. So.
And she takes really good notes.
Yes.
I do like to take notes.
I like that.
All right, Brenda, you're up.
Oh, okay. Well, I founded Pitch Wars, and behind the scenes, I work with the blog team in advising, and I advise on the board, and I don't know, what do I do?
You're the mentee liaison.
Yeah, well, that hasn't started yet, so
it hasn't started yet. Yeah,
I'll start that like November 7th is when we're going to be doing that. So I'll be doing that with Irene Reed, and so that should be fun. So that's what I do.
And as mentee liaison, you're basically you answer any questions the mentees have that they don't want to ask their mentors.
Right. So we are advocates for the mentees, and they come to us and with concerns or problems, or if they need help with understanding things or whatever.
Yeah. All right, Sonia, you're up next.
So I'm the managing director, and I do a little bit of everything. Kind of always doing things. That is kind of what I do. Making sure that, everything is getting out on time, everything's running smoothly, everybody's comfortable in their roles, checking in on everything that we have going on, from getting mentors for the year situated, to getting the submission window open, to making sure that all the mentors are informed on every step of the processes that we have going on, just being in everything. So.
Yeah. Gail?
Well, basically, my job is making sure the site is running. That you actually have a
Small little
website.
Sounds so simple.
Yeah, and it also sometimes entails like creating graphics, like the one that I sent Brenda this morning.
It's
What
really
else?
cute too.
It is
Yeah,
cute.
sometimes I do the graphics, but most of the time I ask somebody else to do it. But I think the most critical thing that I usually do is making sure that the site is up and updated. Because without the website, what's the point of sending? Yeah, how are we gonna get submissions? Yeah, and I actually one of the things that another thing that we're doing is that if you notice, the Pictures website is composed of three main websites. The main site, which is where you get the information. The second one would be the submissions, which is where you're going to be submitting your stuff. And the third is the showcase website, where the final entries are going to be displayed. So those are the three things, aside from the other things that I'm managing, that I do as technical director. And it's fun,
Yeah.
actually. That's what makes the volunteering fun. It's because I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, I
You-
forget the making sure everybody's links is up and running during
yeah.
the mentor blog hop. Yeah, and troubleshooting. I actually like enjoy it.
You did some magic this time.
You
I don't know what you
did.
did, but
It was
Yeah,
amazing.
fun. Actually, it's fun. Like everybody says, like this person's link isn't working, and I'm just okay. What's the problem? They're gonna tell me the problem, and at the same time, I'm troubleshooting somebody else's problem, and it's actually. I actually enjoy it. I'm weird, but
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
For those who have been here in the olden days, when we had submissions or we had blog hops, our website would crash, and that's not fun. So we love Gal.
Me too.
And I love you guys too. I'm having fun, like doing all these, and it's really volunteer work. But as long as you love something, volunteer work is just fun. So
Oh, Allison said the blog hop was so easy to navigate. It was
thank
really
you.
great this year.
Thank you. Yay. And so I'll turn it over to Susan because I think we have a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
Susan's
stuff.
turn.
Hi there, I'm Susan Lee. I was a 2018 Pitchwars mentee and a 2019 mentor with my co-mentor Oriane Desambre, and the two of us are mentoring again this year, YA. I am the mentor liaison along with Kelly Garrett, and what we do is make sure that the mentors have the information that they need. We try to give them as many tips as possible through experience from past years, and how we're trying to constantly learn and improve the program, and how mentors approach this entire process. So it's great because we have a lot of mentors who have done this in the past, and then we also have a lot of new ones. So just having that combined energy and us learning from each other is it's exciting, and we are super excited for these submissions to come in. I think this is one of the most fun times. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. And I'm on the board. I'm the board treasurer, so I'm in charge of all the money, which is really it only thing like 3 times a year. Like we don't pay for very much. And we did a fundraiser in 2018 that has covered our expenses for 3 years now. So I haven't had a whole lot to do in that role, but I keep a spreadsheet. Of course. And then this year I am the agent liaison. So my work there hasn't really started yet. And so I am responsible for liaising with the literary agents. And so I answer their questions and I get them signed up, help them get signed up for the showcase. And then that also means that I am the most popular person in February. I'm the person in charge of logging agent requests, and there's a big team that does it, but like I will oversee it. So I'll log requests and communicate those with the mentors, and just kind of deal with all the agent related stuff. So that's me. Okay, so Ayana mentioned a little bit, but everyone, well, I guess Brenda too. But what is kind of your Pitch Wars history? How did you get started? How did you become a volunteer? How did you get into that? Ayana and Brenda already kind of answered, so we'll go with the other three.
Do you want me to start?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I was a mentee in 2013. And not to be all back in my day, I had to walk 5 miles in the snow barefoot, but we only had 5 weeks to revise during the Christmas season. It was very different back when I was a mentee. Ended up rewriting half my book though, because it was a mess. And back then, mentors could only request 3 chapters and a synopsis before picking a mentee. And my mentor got a very pleasant surprise when she got my hot mess after 3 chapters. But it was an awesome experience. I learned so much from it. I learned so much from my mentor. She was incredible. She had 2 other alternates at the time, and I don't know how she did it, but she mentored all 3 of us. It was a really awesome experience. And in 2015, I became a mentor myself, and I've been a mentor since then. And in 2018, I joined, when the committee was formed, I joined the committee as the communications director, and I did that for 2 years, and now I'm the managing director this year.
Gail, you want to go?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Actually, I first heard about Pitch Wars in 2016, where I joined the Pitch Madness. I was part of it, and it was fun. And the thing is that I live in the Philippines, so Twitter is the only way that I could get to know a community, get to know people, find beta readers, and yeah, I think that's when it started. Then in 2017, I was an MG mentor. And then on the 2018, I took part in the community. Since then, I've been doing the website. And only this year, I'm able to confidently say that I can take in mentoring again. So I'm mentoring MG this year again. So yeah, and more or less by this time, we've had a system already in place. So that's why I'm totally fine with not leaving you guys for a bit, and I'm just gonna read my subs. And yeah, that's it's a pretty short history though. So
Yeah, well, Gail in 2018, she was basically like, "I can redo your entire website." We're like, "Okay."
Yeah, I actually enjoy it. That's I think that's the important thing, and kind of makes me sound old. Yeah, but I'm 39. I'm proudly 38, turning 39 on October 8th. So yeah, and so the
another
25
Pitchfork Libra.
yeah, so the 25 years of experience kind of it makes sense. I know sometimes people wonder are you sure? How old are you? They're not even sure how old I am. But yeah, I'm proud to say that I'm 38, turning 39. Oh, what time is it here? It's 9:34 a.m. I'm 12 hours ahead Eastern time.
Makes the math easy.
Yeah. It's usually a challenge for me to make conversions, especially from but the nice thing about it is that Eastern time is usually 12 hours ahead until you do the daylight savings. That's when it gets confusing, a little bit confusing for me. So that's when I rely on apps because that's how I roll. I rely on apps. Here.
All right, Susan, and how did you get started?
Yeah, I heard about Pitch Wars, and this is going to be funny because Brenda and Sarah were there, but at the Romantic Times conference in Reno, I went to a workshop, a road show, and all of you guys were sitting up front talking about it, and I had not finished a manuscript yet. And in that moment, I kind of had just decided I'm going to just try to stop talking about writing and kind of try to finish one. And then actually in 2018, I had a manuscript, and I actually ran into Brenda at RWA, and I told her I was going to submit to Pitch Wars, and she said I had to do it. So And then 2 days before they were about to announce mentees, I wrote an email that I was going to pull out because I was terrified. I didn't think that I could take public humiliation of not making it into Pitch Wars. And my friend sat me down on a bench outside of a pizza restaurant and told me that I cannot pull out, and got the news that I was selected as a mentee for my mentor is Gloria Chow.
And it was really exciting because I got to see you win a Golden Heart at RW.
Yeah. So it was transformative. It really, I had a manuscript that had no plot, and I did not know how to revise, and all of that was super overwhelming. And these are the things that people kind of don't teach you when you're in the writing process. And so it's just nice having people who have been there and who have taken this journey. And look, these mentors aren't here to know it all. They're here just to give you as much support as possible to help you navigate your own journey. So I would just tell people, why not? Why not try? Because I would have talked myself out of it too, and I would have really missed out on something incredible. And then Sonia's a friend of mine, and she had reached out and asked if I wanted to be a part of the committee, and I absolutely do. I am not that type of person. I saw all of the Ask Mentor today. I saw everyone say, "Oh, I just love helping people and love giving back." And I work in HR doing my day job. I don't want to be helping people outside of work, to be honest. One of the things that I do want to do is I do believe that if something is powerful and can really help people, that being a part of that is exciting. So I was like, of course, Sonia, I will do this, and I'm excited. So and I think that whoever is listening and contemplating Pitch Wars, for some people it takes a few years to even try. This is like, Sarah's going to talk about her, what was it? What do they call that when you ask the questions? Like you took a poll, and how many years people have been involved in Pitch Wars. There's a lot of people who have been involved in Pitch Wars for multiple years, and that's not even as a mentee. It's a part of the community. So I just would encourage everyone, if you're considering it, if not this year, then just keep being a part of that community and see when the time is right for you.
And our volunteers are so generous. You guys are always giving your time and to everybody and being on our hashtag answering questions. So don't be afraid to reach out to them, because they want to help you.
Yeah. Well, I have been around slightly shorter than Brenda.
What do you mean? Well, yeah. Between my idea and when I started asking people, that's about the only time you weren't there.
So I had participated. Brenda had run some other contests on her blog for a couple years before Pitch Wars started, and I had entered some of those, and I ended up winning one of them. And then I was an intern at Entangled at the time, and Brenda you had chosen mentors already, and then I think you were like, oh, we want to help more people. And so you brought in extra mentors. And so I was one of the extra mentors. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have submissions that were for me that first year. I went into like other people's inboxes and took out their submissions that they hadn't chosen yet. That's how,
like a secret agent going in there,
yes.
or secret mentor, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just like snuck through other people's inboxes basically after they had chosen theirs. And we had 1 week to choose then. And the inbox kept crashing because it was one inbox.
Everybody had to go into my email. Email I set up for Pitch Wars. It wasn't even like sophisticated like Gail's stuff. It was like an email. And everybody went in there, and then Google was like, what the heck is everyone doing in your email box? And they kick you guys out.
Yeah. Those were the good old days.
Yeah.
No, Gail, we love you. This is why I'm constantly like, oh my God, Gail. But then I was just hooked, and I was a mentor ever since. And then in 2018, the restructuring happened, and I was part of like the conversations that were happening at that time. And Brenda asked me to be on the committee, the restructuring committee, which became the 2018 Pitch Wars committee, which is also when Sonia joined as well. Ayana, when did you join the committee?
A month. I think. wasn't last year. I was a mentor, and the showcase ended February of this year, and then I think I guess so a few months after that. So my toes are still wet. I'm wading into this.
Yeah. All right. So I have on my Patreon, if you support at $5 or more a month, you can submit questions ahead of time for guests. And so we have 2 questions from my Patreon supporter, Lodestar. So his first question was, is the Pitch Wars volunteering a year-round process or only seasonal?
It depends on who's doing it. So the board is always doing something year round because we're always having to prepare for the next Pitch Wars, and the committee is more than what a mentor would do. So then the committee gears up for whatever. So we're always doing that, and then the mentors come in, and that's like how many of a process, like a 5-month kind of thing, if you think about it, because they have to do their blog wish list, and then they have to read their submissions, and then they are going to work with their mentee for like 3 months. So anybody want?
Yeah, the mentors are like summer to February.
Mm-hmm.
And then the committee is kind of like as needed, like different people do different amounts of work.
Yeah.
The board, I think we took like 3 weeks off, maybe.
Yeah.
This year before we dive back into 2020 planning.
It's because we're always adjusting, like things happen and people give us feedback or whatever happens, and then we have to readjust and come up with new processes and things like that, because we don't do things perfectly. We're volunteers, so we're learning and we're doing and we're trying to figure things out, and we don't always do it perfectly, and so that we are willing though to adjust, and that's what we do during the year, is trying to figure out, okay, what did we do wrong, how do we adjust to it? So
yeah, well,
be better.
My job is technically like all year.
Yeah, yours is all year. It's like
yeah, everybody's relaxing and I'm like, hold on a second, I still need to work.
You don't even get a 3-week vacation like we do.
Yeah, actually, technically it's, well, I have to make sure the website is up every day. So yeah.
Tell us if it's down though.
Yeah, people do tell us, and I'm glad for that. So so whenever they do, it's and of course I have to like tell them, guys, we're gonna have like maintenance, so expect the site is gonna be down for like 2 hours or something like that. Like, so yeah, it's basically a year-round thing on my end, at least. But
I really do enjoy that you do that though, because I know I never knew what I was doing.
I roomed with Brenda during RT during one of the big website crashes. Or no, I didn't room with you. I was just hanging out with you.
Yeah,
I was in your room, but I wasn't. Yeah, and like, oh my gosh, all the calls she's trying to make, and she's looking through her little like notebook of like passwords, trying to remember all the.
I'm old school, guys.
Yeah. And now we just like call Gail, and then Gail tells us what's wrong, and then I translate it to Brenda.
Yeah, because that's usually one of my sicknesses, is that if you ask me something technical, I'm probably gonna answer you technical. No, not probably. I will answer you in technical terms.
There's always like, what? And then I DM Sarah by herself, so no one knows that I'm asking, what is she saying?
Yeah, so that's another thing that I do that's like not really in any of my like specific roles, is like the stuff that's a little more technical but doesn't require Gail. Sometimes I'll do stuff like that, forums and stuff. I got a little bit of echo again, Gail, so I muted you again, but feel free to unmute anytime. And I did want to mention, Gail brought up a good point, and so I wanted to make sure I mention our blog team volunteers. They pretty much work year round because they're always doing, because we promote mentee and mentors books year round, and they do like extra stuff, like they're doing the mentee blog hop right now, and they like get, I feel like, the least attention, and so I always try to mention them as much as I can because they do a lot of work.
They do. Yeah, so we have Rochelle, and Angel and Stephanie, who are helping this year for our blog team. We do have times when we're not doing as much. We just had a big amount of work that we just did because of our the workshops. Those are really a lot of work for us, and they volunteer. So we are always working hard to get those, get everything to the mentors, get it back and get it to the people who won the critiques, and then put them up on the blog. And then we're doing spotlights right now. And then after the mentees are picked, we'll do interviews with mentors and mentees and stuff like that. So we're always continually doing that. And then also doing like mentors book releases and book covers, reveals and things like that all year long. Yeah.
All right. So we have a second question from Lodestar, and I chose this one because I know my answer to this question. What is the funniest behind the scenes thing that happened that you can tell us?
Oh my gosh.
I'll go first if you want.
Can it be mine too? Is that sure it's going to be mine too?
It probably will be yours.
Okay, then you go first, because then I can say me too.
So this is the first thing that came to mind when I read this question. So we have a lot of chats going on all the time. Like we have so many different chats that we're in. Like we have a director's chat, we have a website chat, we have a social media chat. And so we're in a lot of chats all day. Gail's laughing. I think Gail knows what this is. And one time Kelly just like dropped a full page of her manuscript in the chats, like copy and pasted it, thinking it was going somewhere else. And like it's funny enough that she just dropped a whole page in it, but all of us were like, oh my God, what is that? Give us more. We want more. And it was like a year and a half. Kelly's here. Kelly just showed up.
Hi, Kelly.
But that's the funny part, is we keep teasing her about it all the time. So yeah, that's what I thought of.
And anytime she deletes a comment in our chat, we're thinking that she's dropped a page and deleted it.
And then the funny thing is that every time one of us does it, sometimes I do that. I mean, like I talked to
I think Gail dropped her like shopping the other day.
I talked to them like on the from the other side of the world. Is basically like the opposite times. So when they're chatting in the afternoon, I'm basically chatting like at 3 a.m. on my end. So sometimes I get confused. Like I remember like leaving a note. I usually like leave my husband notes late at night, like buy me something.
Yeah. That's what you said a couple of days ago.
Yeah, you did do that.
Yeah.
We're like, what is that?
What did he ask you to buy me? I totally forgot. I think it was.
Yeah, it was food.
Yeah, it's definitely food.
But yeah, so what was I was going to say that one time when I was drinking because it was crashing and I was at, and I've cussed more than I've ever cussed ever.
No website goes out.
Because I don't really cuss, but it's like now I am. So yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else have a funny story they want to share?
Yeah, getting Brenda to say the F word is one of my favorite hobbies in the chats.
Same.
And then I have to repent for like hours because I feel bad.
She's
like, oh, I shouldn't have said that word.
I'm like, I didn't mean that. I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, I was going to say I'm a few hours behind. So I wake up and there's been a long conversation and they've worked out a problem and everything. And I'll say, oh, glad I can help. I was sleeping the whole time. So yeah, things are always resolved by the time I get up.
That's the thing with me is like, sometimes like everybody's going to have like this whole chat of panicking.
Yeah.
Everybody's panicking and panicking and panicking and panicking. And then I wake up and I just scroll. Oh,
yeah.
So the problem is this, and the solution is this.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, okay.
Gail wakes up a lot to like hundreds of messages. Lee said one of my faves was when Brenda rickrolled all of us a few years ago.
Yeah, that was cute. I didn't even know I was doing it, by the way. I just thought, oh, this is a cute GIF.
Anybody else want to answer the question that's not about Kelly sending us her manuscript?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was telling you guys to do one.
I think in kind of to echo Gail, I'm not, well, I guess we're all in different time zones, but I joined the committee like fairly recently and got into like lots of the chats, and I forgot if it was you, Sarah, or maybe Kelly. You're like, oh, it's pretty quiet. It's fine. we barely talk in there, and then like
Sarah.
like one morning I woke up and it was like, what? But then it'd be like la 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 la. Oh, what are you guys eating today? And then we'd talk about like lunch for a while, and then la, and then it was crickets. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. Put my phone down, and then so that's funny to me because I'm like,
our chats do move so fast. Like whenever we're working on something, like it's like this manic like race to solve every problem. And sometimes I'm like, hey, let's just wait until, so-and-so chimes in if someone's asleep or whatever. Like, let's wait until so-and-so chimes in. We don't have to do this like in the next 15 minutes. But we do a lot of that. So
yeah, sometimes I'll grab my coffee in the morning and I'll just I'll chat or send a text in there and ask, so is there anything you need from me? Because
well, we basically have like almost even without Gail, we have like 24-hour coverage because like I stay up until 3-4 sometimes, and then Brenda's up, early, and Sonia's up early, and Kelly's up early, and then Gail covers that like couple-hour gap in between. So there's always someone sending messages 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
My favorite is like what usually when you guys wake up, the answer is there. You're gonna like have a full discussion about it the whole day, and so you can just do it this way. I just like making things easier. Like, I just like automating things. That's for sure. Like,
yeah.
So.
All right, so we probably have time for one more question. This has gone so fast. Like I don't know how this has gone this fast. I just looked at the clock. I was like, really? That's what time it is? All right. So this is my question. In your opinion, what do you think is the biggest challenge that Pitch Wars as a program faces? I know it's an easy question, right?
I'll let everyone else go because
I'll start. I mean, I think one of the main things is that it started out of the goodness of Brenda's heart, and it really took off. And I think it's faced challenges with criticism. And the hardest thing is that managing people's expectations of what this program is and why it exists. Outside of that, so many wonderful things have happened, and it's grown incredibly. And obviously, it's why it's from the hard work of volunteers and with the best intentions, it's gotten to where it is today. But the truth of what this program is to help writers get their manuscript in shape to be seen, and whether that's in a showcase or in querying or the next manuscript after that is what this program is about. And I think that managing, because there are so many people who have their eyes and ears on these hashtags and in these sessions, come with their own expectations of what they've heard Pitch Wars is or the successes they've seen. The biggest challenge is to like manage it to be true to itself versus the kind of hype of what the world seems to think it is. And I hope that we can keep just reminding people of its roots and its intentions, because I think that in and of itself is still a very powerful program. And I think that's actually what creates the success of Pitch Wars.
Well said.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and then of course we can't help like it's going to keep on expanding, right?
Mhm.
There are gonna be more people joining in. But one of the things that I really do hope is that people remember what the core of it all was. That it started as writers wanting to help other writers.
Mhm.
And basically, that's what we are. Even though we get like thousands of submissions, it still is. And I'm expecting it's gonna growing on the technical end. It's gonna be massive. That's one of the things that one of the reasons why I separated the website into three. And speaking of which, we're in the process of separating the mentor books. So we're gonna have like a separate sub site for that, because as we grow and we get new mentors, and our mentors have m- more books coming in, so it kind of makes sense to have a separate database for it. I'm talking nerd, but you
I
know
was
what
gonna
I
say
mean.
this is what it's like working with Gail all the time. Like she's just like, well, I could do this, and I could do this, and I could do this, and we're like,
Yeah, but
okay,
basically
you
we
do
need
that.
to adjust. Yeah, we
Yeah.
just we keep on adjusting to what needs to be done, and but at the same time we do hope that the whole essence of Pitch Wars as writers helping other writers remain.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
because I'm
want to go after.
yes.
Oh yeah, I think. Oh, I was going to expound on what Susan said. Just managing expectations and finding a fairness that works for everyone. I mean, we just talked about how there's a mentee liaison and there's a mentor liaison, and then we're working with the kind of technical realities, like just some things we can and can't do, and then there's an agent liaison, of course. So like there are all these audiences that all have like stakes in this, and they all want things that would make their part in this easier. And the challenge is, like, I think we all want this to be a really great experience for everyone, but then we also have to make sure that every time there's a change made that helps one group, it doesn't disadvantage another group and make it an unpleasant experience for them. And that's hard because, well, it's hard for me because I want to make everyone happy and I want everyone to enjoy themselves and not feel like I've let anyone down. And I think even though this is volunteer based and, we're people and we're writers. So we are also trying to write books and read books. And I think it's hard to make sure you have time for yourself sometimes when the natural tendency is to just give until you really can't give anymore. So, yeah.
Also, with Pitch Wars, this is a different model that it's like a new baby model that started 2018. So it just had a couple of events to get kind of molded and come up with new things and do things differently than it was before. Because before, not very many, it was just me and another person that would be running it and stuff. And now we have it's a different mechanics, or I don't know what to say if I'm saying the right words, but we're just learning to do it in this different way. And so we have to keep on adjusting, and we're not going to do it perfectly for everybody. And as everybody else was saying, we're volunteers and we want to help writers. And that's where I was when I started Pitch Wars. I was alone and I felt alone and I didn't have a community. And so then I started doing these contests and building a community. And that's what I wanted to do, is give people what I didn't have. And that was a mentor that could help me figure out what I was doing wrong with my manuscript. And so.
Yeah.
All right.
What everybody else said. That's
This is really demonstrative of our personalities, and I think why like me and Brenda are make such a good team is because she gives that kind of answer, and my answer is like not everyone reads the rules, and like I have OCPD and I was raised in a very, very structured like military household. And we get hundreds and hundreds of people who just like don't read the basic rules, and it makes our jobs harder is the main problem. Is like we're spending hours a day answering questions are answered on a website, you know? And so for me, that is just like a very realistic, pragmatic thing. And Brenda's like, you know, Brenda, classic Brenda. And
Never
Sonia,
guessed right.
I mean, Susan's answer was so good too.
Yeah, Susan did a good job there.
Yeah.
Everything that I would
Right.
want to say that I wouldn't know how to say it because I'm awkward.
Aw. All right, so we're gonna go over time, but that's fine. I kind of expected it. But thank you all so much for coming on today. We're gonna say goodbye to Brenda, Susan, Gail, and Sonia now, and me and Ayana are gonna finish up the
Bye,
show. We're
everybody.
gonna talk about the viewer poll and all the things.
Bye.
So
Bye.
yeah,
Thank you.
Bye.
thanks y'all,
Bye. Thanks for having me.
and yeah, see you in the chats right after this.
Okay.
Make sure I don't remove Ayana. There we go. All right. That was fun. Oh, you're muted. There we go.
Good. Okay. Yes, it was. It was good to see everyone.
Yeah. I wish sometimes because we video chat when there's like a thing that needs to be solved. I wish we could just like chat sometimes for fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So it is time now to move on to audiobook of the week, and Ayana has one as well. So I'm gonna let you go first.
I do. So I recommend with all my heart The Silvered Serpents by Roshni Chokshi. This is the second book in a trilogy. The Gilded Wolves came out last year. And with audiobooks, I'm someone that got into audiobooks late, but I've come to really love them because frankly, I'm just so busy that I don't always have time to sit and read. And my favorite audiobooks are the ones where people, it's really funny and the voices are really distinct. And this is a story where you have 6 kind of teens coming together to do a heist, and they're French. Like it takes place in 1800s France. So they've got these really cute French accents, and they're hilarious, and they feel like real teens. I think in YA sometimes it can vary, but they just feel like a bunch of like real teens, like arguing with each other and trying to plan massive heists, and they're hilarious. Roshni is a really funny author. Like she just writes a lot of humor into her stories. So I highly recommend this. I have the physical copies, but I also have the audio just to listen to when I'm walking around.
Yeah, I haven't listened to this series, but I've listened to all her other audiobooks, and I love her books, and she always has really great narrators too. And this cover is gorgeous. When I had to download it for the thing, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so pretty.
Oh yeah, in the Gilded Wolves, the first one is just as pretty, but also different. So beautiful writing, beautiful cover. I like when it matches.
A lot of people are adding it to their TBR, or they just listen to it, or
Yay!
Yeah. Jay, I think Jay's asking if it's the same voiceover artist. It's Lori Catherine Winkle and PJ Auckland. I don't know if that's who did the first one or not.
I am not sure. I will check and I can tweet about it.
Yeah, and so my audiobook of the week is probably an obvious choice, and it's accidentally on theme. Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, who is a Pitch Wars mentor. And it's narrated by Avi Roque. And so this is like the one-liner from the publisher. A trans boy determined to prove his gender to his traditional Latinx family summons a ghost who refuses to leave. It like kind of blends in with my curtains here. I didn't realize. Yeah, so I listened to this last week. Obviously, you know, this book made a splash when it debuted, and Aidan's just like super great, really nice, like likable person, you know. And so my favorite thing though was like everyone was rooting for him to hit the list. And you could tell like right before the list was about to be announced, like everyone was just kind of holding their breath. And then when they announced it, it was like my timeline was just like screaming for like 3 minutes. Yeah, it's really good. And the narrator is really good. It's actually the narrator, his first ever audiobook. So it's always fun to discover new narrators.
And Aidan is a Pitch Wars mentor, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said accidentally on theme.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence. That's the book that I listened to this week, and he happens to fit in with the Pitch Wars theme. I did look at my library, and my library does have it on hold for a while. So, it is available on Libro FM, by the way, which is where I got my copy. All right. So now it's time for the viewer poll. And I just realized I didn't share this screen yet. So excuse me for a moment while I awkwardly move all my windows around so that I can share the screen, so we can discuss the results. And there it is, coming. Okay, there we go.
Ooh.
All right. So how long have you participated in Pitch Wars in any week? So we have 42% are saying this is my first year participating. And then 27% say 1 to 2 years, 17% say 3 to 4 years, and 14% 5 or more years. I was really surprised by this because we do see a lot of repeat entries and obviously repeat mentors, and but yeah, a lot of new people. So welcome. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, this is kind of what I was guessing, and this is exciting. I love getting to be with people as they're getting into this new world, and really kind of getting into the writing world. Sometimes for people, this is their gate into a whole new world. So, yay!
Yeah, a whole new world.
As soon as I said it, I was like, oh. 90s Disney.
That's the first thing I heard. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Ebony thinks that you would be a good narrator.
Thank you. I read my story, like I read my writing to myself, but then I listen and I'm like, I sound really boring and I don't have the stamina. So it'd be cool to do it, and like it sounds like it'd be cool, but then I know in theory it would be probably really, really hard.
Yeah, I listened to an audiobook last year that was about how to be an audiobook narrator.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the woman's name right now, but she wrote it and then recorded it herself, obviously.
That's very meta.
Yeah. Well, it gets even more meta because I was listening to it because I was a judge for the audiobook awards. And it was one of the books up for an audiobook award.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was interesting hearing them talk. She talks so much about like building up your stamina and like taking care of your voice, and like she talks a lot about like the physicality of voice, doing voice work. So I thought it was really interesting. Not that many people are as obsessed with audiobooks as I am, but if you are, it might be a good book to check out.
I'm curious.
All right, and it is time for the reading quote of the week, which is a feature that I do just because I like quotes and no other reason. When you handle books all day long, every new one is a friend and a temptation, by Elizabeth Kostovia. Yeah, so I work in a library, obviously. So this spoke to me. I don't handle books, but I do, just like I'm in the building with them all day. And I do go down. My favorite place in the whole library, by the way, is the acquisitions room. It's where all the new books come in and they do all the processing. They put the stickers and everything on them. And so it's just like tables and tables of like stacks of new books. And I like, at one point the manager was like, you need to not spend so much time down here. Like, this is not your department.
Oh,
yeah, I love it.
I love being around books. I helped my grandmother this past week alphabetize her books because my grandma is like a super bibliophile and literally has had thousands of books. And while I was doing it, I found like a first edition copy of Charlotte's Web, and it was my first chapter book. And just seeing it and holding it, it was like a friend. It was like, whoa, this piece of my childhood, all of it came rushing back. So that totally speaks to me that books really are kind of like friends.
Yeah. All right. I think that's everything tonight. So Ayana, thank you so much for volunteering to be, I guess it was voluntold. I was like, Ayana, you'd be great.
No. It was fun. It was really fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you and your time. I know we are all busy right now. So, I did want to mention, if you do not know what Pitch Wars is and you're watching this episode and you're like, what's going on? You can go to pitchwars.org to learn more information about it. It's basically an annual mentoring event that's completely volunteer run, where authors choose one author to mentor by doing like a round of revisions, and that ends in an agent showcase. And you can learn more about that at pitchwars.org if you have questions. So yeah, thank you, Ayana. Have a good night. And I'm just going to close out a couple things here. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like and subscribe right down there so you don't miss another episode. Also, tell your friends. That's how they find out about shows like this. I usually have just one special guest, and I usually try to find people who have like interesting knowledge about the publishing industry. And so it's more than, it's not more, but like just different than from an author interview. And I've learned a lot on this show about the publishing industry because of my guests. So, also in the description is a link where you can subscribe via email. And there's also the link to my Patreon, is patreon.com/PubTalk Live. Thank you so much to my Patreon supporters. I really appreciate all of your support. The social media for our guests is also in the description. So you can go check them out online on Twitter, especially. And a couple upcoming announcements. I am taking over the Pitch Wars Instagram on September 27th, which starts in less than 2 hours. And as I previously mentioned, I'm a night owl, so I will be taking it over at midnight. So look out for that. It's just instagram.com/pitchwars. It's just Pitch Wars is the username. And then also the next PubTalk Live episode, I don't have it scheduled yet, but we're going to have T.S. Ferguson, who is an editor at Jimmy Patterson Books. He's going to be my special guest for the next episode. And then also midnight Eastern, Lodestar. And then we also are continuing our Wednesday write-in. So if you come Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern on my YouTube channel, we do an hour and a half of writing and also some light socializing with my co-host, Bess Carnan. So make sure you come out for that if you have any work you need to get done. This past month, that's pretty much the only time that I've been working on my own writing because it's been such a busy month. So I'm just really grateful for those. So thank you so much for watching. And everyone stay safe, wash your hands, and I'll see you next time.